Welcome, and thank you for tuning in for another episode of the Sitecore Water Cooler, the casual conversation podcast dedicated to covering all things related to Sitecore, including product updates, full site builds, suggestions and insights, getting the most out of your Sitecore investment, and more. I'm your host, John Price, Sitecore Practice Director and MVP at AmericanEagle.com. Each year, Sitecore honors the top contributors in the community by naming MVPs. Thousands of applicants need a way to apply, and that is through the channel of the Sitecore MVP website. I am joined today by a few AmericanEagle.com team members who helped build this year's Sitecore MVP website, helping streamline this application process. I am joined by Naim, Ahmed, Okour, and Josh Hover. Combined, they have nearly 30 years of Sitecore experience between them. Gentlemen, welcome to the show.
Thanks, John, for having us.
Thank you, John.
Thanks, John.
Well, guys, your credentials and experience speak for themselves, and I think it's a huge honor that you guys were able to help build the Sitecore MVP website. So let's hear from you. Josh, let's start with what you guys did this year for the Sitecore MVP website.
So we had a really exciting opportunity to work with Kamash over at Sitecore, who helps manage and run the Sitecore MVP program. And essentially, what we were tasked with was helping revamp a new MVP site, which had performance in mind and ease of use for submitting new applicants' application through the application process. One of the other major tasks that we had under our belt was the new MVP search. So they were wanting a new, improved way to not only view or search MVPs that were current, but they also wanted a way that they could view MVP profiles, which is going to be part of the next wave. So those were the two biggest portions that we were tasked with, along with an Okta integration. So we as a team were able to regroup and manage this in a very agile fashion.
Fantastic. And I know with the MVP website, there was a deadline, but you guys also had the drive to build the MVP website with all some of the latest and greatest Sitecore features, which is always interesting. So Ahmed or Naim, I'd like to hear a little bit more from one of you guys on just some other features we built.
Yeah, sure. So the main feature with the MVP website, it was built on Sitecore ASP.NET SDK, ASP.NET Core SDK. So Sitecore was also using this as an example of how people can build their ASP.NET Core application with a headless Sitecore implementation. So everything was kind of like new to us. We had to learn how we implement any simple things that we used to do with the Sitecore SSA. For example, how do you create a component? Now you have to learn how to do it with a headless approach. So that was definitely exciting and fun things to play with. Another thing, how do you do search? With Sitecore CMS, you can just either use Coveo or use the Sitecore built-in capability for search. But now you are working with ASP.NET headless core application, so you have to try to research the different options that you have to do. GraphQL was one of the options we explored, and it turned out to be a very good choice for us to use. We had just to learn almost everything that we had to learn about the headless development in this project. So it was definitely a fun project to work with.
Yeah, I can add that in addition to the .NET Core and headless features, it was also built on Docker, which is relatively new for Sitecore, and it was really cool to start working on that one. I would like also to mention that the MVP site project is an open source, so it's open for the community members. Anyone can go and contribute or see the code, which is, I believe, it's best practice. We were honored as an American Eagle team members to participate this year, and we are planning to do more in the next year. As you mentioned, John, we had a little tight deadline as the Sitecore nominations were to be open on November, as in each year. That was also a challenge, in addition to learning the new technologies that the site has. As Ahmed mentioned, it was really challenging and fun to do.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely like contains all the best practices or like solutions to various various problems that you might run when you have a headless implementation with Docker and ASP.NET Core. So I'm sure like if you just browse the code, that you will see many things that you you wouldn't find on the documentation, but things that we just have to discover on our own while we're implementing this website.
It's really good to see that Sitecore is building their own sites and applications on the latest and greatest. Docker, you guys mentioned, fantastic, and headless, obviously a huge route where Sitecore is going to be going. And the one thing I want to hit on, I think Naim, you mentioned, is the open source piece of it, right? We discovered this opportunity by simply trying to figure out how we could get more involved with the Sitecore community, and not just improve the chances of becoming Sitecore MVPs, but how could we give back to the community? So two things, Naim, on that is, number one, individuals can continue to contribute to this project, helping improve the Sitecore MVP website. It's definitely something that can continue to be iterated on. But also, if anyone's interested to see on how some of these latest and greatest technologies are implemented, since it is open source, someone could also go there and actually learn a little bit themselves. So just want to mention that as well.
Yeah, exactly. Especially Okta integration, it's there. How Sitecore work with Docker, it's there. All the new stuff, and anyone can learn from it as it's open source.
Yeah, and
go ahead, Ahmed.
Yeah, and like just to mention, it's fairly simple to like run on your environment if you have a Windows environment. So it runs on Docker, so you have to do few like prerequisite scripts, and then you can have the site up and running in within an hour, hopefully.
Yeah, and the code base is available right through GitHub. So all you need to do is have a GitHub account, and then you can go ahead and pull down the latest code base and get your project up and running from there.
Fantastic discussion today, guys. Any other features you guys would like to point out, or anything else special about the Sitecore MVP website this year you guys think is worth mentioning?
I think that we definitely had a...
Go ahead. Sorry.
I think we had a very unique opportunity to help streamline and improve the application process this year. And I think that the overall application experience being multi-step has definitely helped with that. We've broken it down into more composable components, and also your progress is saved throughout your progress. So as you're stepping through each of those various phases of your application, it is actually saving. So if you need to come back at a later time, you're able to go back in and jump right back where you were at your application progress.
Yeah. And another thing like someone can benefit from the MVP website is, if someone is looking to see like how fast headless ASP.NET Core application can be, they can see that it is really fast. They can even see it on the live website. And if they spin it up on the local, they can see the difference between a Sitecore, something built on SSA versus something built on headless. So they can see like real time how fast this development can be and how fast your site can be.
Yeah, just looking at the Google PageSpeed Insight score, it scores a 94 on desktop, which is fantastic. So definitely just browsing the website's extremely snappy, having used it. So thank you for making that my experience great, guys. But it also scores really good on these website vital tools. So kudos to you guys, and Josh, great job on the front end development there.
Yeah, and it's worth mentioning that anyone is like looking into the headless approaches. Like you have two different approaches here. Like you can go with the ASP.NET Core or like JavaScript, and Sitecore is trying to make like the headless layer as generic as possible. So your headless website can be the same configuration from the Sitecore CMS, but then your front-end website can just read the layout service output there and just display it on the website. So the same features you get with the CSS, hopefully like you get on the ASP.NET Core. There are some small features that they're still working on, but overall should provide the same experience for you, development-wise and user journey-wise.
From development-wise, Ahmed, you just mentioned something I would like to highlight, that it seems like with the headless, the borders between the back-end and the front-end developers are really vague. We used to do some front end JavaScript, and at the same time we use the back end controllers and this type of stuff. I think this is really interesting to see that there is no more distinguished differences between the back end and the front end. It's really becoming more like a little from both worlds. What do you think?
Yeah, definitely that's like how the headless world is. Like basically like you just have your content management in the system. You have your code that runs that content management. Like you can read data from Sitecore directly. You can have your custom content resolver built on top of Sitecore CMS. And then like whatever front-end framework you want to use, whether it's an ASP.NET Core or JSS, that's a different, the team that runs that can be different team. They don't really need to have a Sitecore development skill. They just need to understand how the layout service works and how to consume the APIs from Sitecore. And then if they have the skill set of JavaScript libraries and React is Angular and Vue is the most popular out there. Most front-end developers understand this framework, and if they have knowledge of that and they kind of like understand how Sitecore headless works, they can just start working on it without bugging Sitecore CMS developers. Or like it just speeds the process of finishing the website lifecycle.
Yeah, these new development frameworks open up who can develop on Sitecore. Definitely requires less inherent knowledge on the platform, which is great, and really moving towards front-end development. So with that said, it's probably safe to assume, especially with some of these product acquisitions, the Sitecore MVP process is just going to become that much more competitive, which is why we urge everyone who's interested in becoming an MVP to definitely contribute to the community with helping with projects like this. Gentlemen, any closing thoughts?
I think you're right. Like anyone who wants to increase their chances on learning more about Sitecore headless, and it's the path that everyone is going to go anyway. And if they want to increase their chances about getting the MVP or like getting more contributions back to the community, that's a great way to do that as well. It's open source. Like you can just pull the repository down, look into it, and ask the team if you want to contribute back with your code changes.
Yeah, I would echo that as well. That MVP program is really about community involvement and how you can help contribute your knowledge to the community, whether it's supporting others or the investment. I would say that we do maintain an active board of all features that are available that are currently in need of being built. So once you're in the GitHub environment, you're able to see those. And if there's features that you feel confident or comfortable in building out or working on, please feel free to help contribute to the community.
Yeah, I would agree with Josh. And you don't need to have a lot of time to contribute. It's enough if you can do one task or two, depending on your free time. So you can feel free, please, to try to pull any of these tickets, and you can start work on it.
And we have issues posted on the GitHub account. So if you don't want to work on a big task, there are small issues that you can help with as well.
Bug fixing, stuff like this.
Bug fixes, yeah.
Awesome. Well, guys, I really appreciate you for swinging by the Sitecore Water Cooler today. The entire community greatly appreciates what you did with this new Sitecore MVP website. And for those that want to check it out, it is mvp.sitecore.com. I wish you the best of luck on your Sitecore MVP applications this year. We hope to have you all on again soon.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks again to Naim Al, Ahmed Okour, and Josh Hover for joining us today on the Sitecore Water Cooler podcast, a casual conversation between colleagues and peers centered around all things Sitecore. I'm your host, John Price, and until the next time we meet at the Water Cooler, be sure to subscribe to the Sitecore Water Cooler podcast today, wherever you find your podcast. This episode is brought to you by AmericanMule.com Studios, with special thanks to executive producers Renee Nelson, Julia Klepich, and Demita Menendez.